press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Well, just to repeat from the last class, we were going through with the chapter ecosystem. Under that, to understand the flavor, you can say, it has been given in your book that it is ethos, or you call that as character of an ecosystem. If you want to understand especially the character of an ecosystem, particularly with reference to aquatic ecosystem, we can consider a small pond as an example. For ecosystem to study the flavor or character or ethos. This is the term that is given in your textbook. With reference to that, while understanding this, you know that it is a fairly sustainable ecosystem. Fairly sustainable ecosystem means the energy that is produced in that ecosystem is able to feed all the living organisms which are there, and it can maintain of its own. The ecosystem can maintain of its own. It doesn't require additional energy to be added. Whatever the plants that are present in the pond are able to trap the energy of the sunlight and they prepare the food. Whatever they prepare will be enough to feed those organisms that are present in that. That is what exactly the meaning of sustainable. But it can explain, a pond can explain all the interaction that is there in larger ecosystem. ಲಾರ್ಜರ್ ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇಂಟರಾಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಈ ಸಣ್ಣದಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪಾಂಡ್ ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಕೂಡ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡಬಲ್ಲದಾಗಿದೆ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ದ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಇಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಷನ್. ಏನೇನು ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಇಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಷನ್ಸು ಹೈಯರ್ ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ವಾಚ್ ಆರ್ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪಾಂಡ್ ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್. ಯು ನೋ ದಟ್ it's a shallow water body. Shallow means it is not deep. Shallow water body. ನೀರಿನ ಆಳ ಡೆಪ್ತ್ ಬಹಳ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. There will be less depth. But all the four basic the aspects or features like what we studied in the last class. ಯಾವ್ಯಾವುದು? productivity, decomposition, the energy flow and nutrient cycling. All these aspects are clearly well exhibited in the pond ecosystem. And especially coming on to abiotic factors. Abiotic factor. The abiotic factor of an ecosystem is water. This water contains dissolved organic and inorganic substances. So the water over here in the pond contain organic and inorganic substances. And you also know that there will be the soil which is rich in this, the soil which form the bottom of the pond, the soil which form the bottom of the pond will be rich in this. And here we have the water as such. And main energy source for this will be the sun. Okay, coming on to the next point. Next point. The solar input. How much of sun energy solar input plus cycle of temperature. The temperature of the pond will vary in a day itself from morning to afternoon to evening and night. Cycle of temperature. Apart from that, day length, other climatic factors, will decide the rate at which this pond ecosystem can function. The functioning of the pond ecosystem will be influenced by all this sun input, that is solar energy, how much of solar energy it's getting, cycle of temperature and day length. Coming on to autotrophic forms of the pond. You know that they are the ones that prepare their food. We have phytoplanktons. So phytoplanktons are nothing but plant-like microorganisms. What are phytoplanktons? Plant-like microorganisms. Apart from that, you have algae, and also you have higher plants. See, higher plants are in the form of certain floating plants. It may be free floating plants, or it may be totally submerged plants, or it may be some plants that are growing in the edges. Sometimes in the edges of submerged, you can have small trees also there. So they form the autotrophic component of the pond ecosystem. Like phytoplankton, as I told you, they are plant-like microorganisms, algae, followed by higher plants. Higher plants may be the one like Pistia wolffia, the one that floats on the surface of water. Vallisneria or hydrilla like one which are there in the submerged forms, and you may have of submerged forms like Polygonum and then Nilambo, lotus, like that, and then we have the other tropical plants that are found on the sides of the pond. And then the heterotrophic forms, that is, you can say the heterotrophic forms. Under that you have both consumers and decomposers. Coming on to consumers, which are not able to prepare their food, but they are the ones that are dependent on the autotrophs for their food. Under that it includes zooplanktons. See, what's the difference between phytoplanktons and zooplanktons? Phytoplanktons are microscopic plant-like organisms. Zooplanktons are microscopic animal-like organisms. Okay, they are very, very minute. They have to be seen only through the microscope. Okay. And Apart from that, you have certain free swimming forms. Free swimming forms, the one that are found on the towards the surface. It may be in the form of certain larvae of frogs, tadpole larvae, and then smaller fishes. Okay, and also sometimes snakes. Snakes will be of different categories. Some they may be there in the surface also, some may be in the bottom. And also there will be what is called as bottom dwellers. Bottom dwellers. You know that the fishes will occupy all the trophic level because the smaller fishes are eaten by medium sized one. The medium sized one will be eaten by the larger one. So thereby under the fishes only you have certain one which will be float on the surface. Some of the fishes will be there at the bottom of the pond. And then coming on to decomposers. Decomposers, the one that acts on dead matter. We have bacteria and also the fungi. Apart from that, certain flagellate animals will also take this role as decomposers. They come under the category of what we call them as saprophytes, to decompose. And this is what exactly the condition. You know that this system will do all the functions. This system will do all the functions. And coming on to that, the conversion of inorganic substances into organic substances using the sunlight by plants. Plants will use the radiant energy of the sunlight and convert inorganic substances like carbon dioxide and water into organic substances like starch. And on these plants, the animals will feed. That is, autotrophs are eaten by heterotrophs. First thing is conversion of inorganic substances into organic substances by plants by photosynthesis. And then the eating of autotrophs are eaten by heterotrophs, followed by decomposition and mineralization. So one or the other day, all the plants and all the animals of this pond will going to die. Their dead bodies will be acted upon by decomposers and their organic matter will be degraded and some of it is converted into minerals. That mineral nutrients are added to soil and once again they are utilized by plants to grow. These events of food preparing by plants are eaten by animals, their dead bodies are degraded and converted into minerals. Minerals are once again used by plants. These events will repeat and repeat and repeat. And that leads to functioning of this ecosystem. And especially, while this ecosystem is going on, some part of the energy will get dissipated. Dissipations means it is lost. Lost in the form of what? Heat. So some energy from this pond ecosystem, even when one animal is eating the other or one animal is eating the plant, some part of it will be lost in the form of heat which is lost to the nature. That is what exactly the dissipation word stands for. This is what exactly with reference to the pond ecosystem which we discussed the last class also, just I have repeated. Now we'll start understanding the aspects of the ecosystem. 4 functional aspects we have discussed, like productivity, energy flow or decomposition, energy flow and nutrient cycle. Of these, we will start with first one, productivity. Productivity. Well, a constant input of solar energy is the basic requirement of all types of ecosystem. Constant input of solar energy ಎಲ್ಲ ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಗೂ ಸೋಲಾರ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಬೇಕು. ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಒಂದು ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮಲ್ಲಿ, ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಟು ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸಸ್ಟೈನ್. ಟು ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸಸ್ಟೈನ್. ಸಸ್ಟೈನ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಟು ಮೇಂಟೈನ್. It has to maintain. It will be depending on the solar input. Okay, that is what exactly. And coming on to that, primary production. Illondu term barutta. Primary production. Primary production. It is the amount of the biomass. So biomass, this can also be referred as dry weight, or it can also be referred as organic matter. So it is the amount of biomass produced in a unit area of a ecosystem over a period of time by plants during photosynthesis. It is the primary production is the amount of biomass production per unit area of the ecosystem over a period of time by plants during photosynthesis. If it is in the form of a weight, it can be expressed in grams. Or if it is in the form of energy, it can be expressed in the form of kilocalories per meter square. And you know that if I write productivity, then it is a rate. It is a rate at which the biomass is produced per unit area over a period of time by plants during photosynthesis. In that case, we can take weight, we can take gram square per year, or energy, kilocalories per meter square per year. This is how it can. Since we have to compare the productivity of different ecosystems, you know that in all ecosystems the rate of productivity will not be the same. To compare that, we can use certain other terms like here. One such is grass primary productivity. One such will be grass, primary productivity. Okay, before going on to talk about this, so we started knowing about the one of the functional aspects of ecosystem, that is nothing but productivity. So under that I did tell you, constant solar input, ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ ಸೂರ್ಯನ ಬೆಳಕು ಆ ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಗೆ ಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕೆ ಬೇಕು? ಟು ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸಸ್ಟೈನ್, ಅದು ತನ್ನನ್ನು ತಾನು ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕ್ಕೆ ಮತ್ತು ತನ್ನ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸೂರ್ಯನ ಬೆಳಕೆ ಮೂಲ, ಸೋಲಾರ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ. See, if I say that is productivity, especially primary production, ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಟರ್ಮ್ ಇದೆ. It is the amount of organic matter. ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್. ಇದನ್ನೇ ನಾವೇನು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು, ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದಂತಹ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಚನ್ನು ಅಥವಾ ಅದರ ಡ್ರೈ ವೆಯ್ಟ್ ಅಂತೀವಿ, ಅಥವಾ ಅದನ್ನು ಬಯೋಮಾಸ್ ಅಂತೀವಿ. ಬಯೋಮಾಸ್ ಅಂದರೂ ಒಂದೇ, ಡ್ರೈ ವೆಯ್ಟ್ ಅಂದರೂ ಒಂದೇ, ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ ಅಂದರೆ ವಿ ಆರ್ ರೆಫರಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್. ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸು ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಡೈಆಕ್ಸೈಡು, ವಾಟರ್, ಸನ್ಲೈಟನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಚನ್ನು ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತೀವಿ. ದ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಚ್ ಇಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ದಿ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್. ಮತ್ತು ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು, ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಆದಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ಅದರ ವೆಯ್ಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಟೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ವಾಟರ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿ ಬಾಡಿ ಆಫ್ ಎನ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಲೆಫ್ಟ್ ಓವರ್ ಇನ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಡ್ರೈ ವೆಯ್ಟ್ ಆರ್ ಬಯೋಮಾಸ್. ಸೊ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ is nothing but the amount of organic matter produced in a particular unit area over a period of time by plants during photosynthesis. ಅದನ್ನು ವೆಯ್ಟ್ ಲೆಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಗ್ರಾಮ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದನ್ನೇನಾದ್ರು ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಲೆಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಮೆಷರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಕಿಲೋ ಕ್ಯಾಲರೀಸಲ್ಲಿ ಮೆಷರ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಅಮೌಂಟ್, ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಅದು ರೇಟ್, ಎಷ್ಟು ವೇಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆಗ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಟೈಮನ್ನು ನಾವು ಸೂಚಿಸಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಇಷ್ಟು ಗ್ರಾಮ್ಸು ಇಷ್ಟು ಅವಧಿಯಲ್ಲಿ, ಇಷ್ಟು ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ, ಇಷ್ಟು ಕಿಲೋ ಕ್ಯಾಲರೀಸ್ ಇಷ್ಟು ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಇಯರ್ ಆರ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಮಂತ್. ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಇಯರ್. ಸಿನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಆಲ್ ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್, ಎಲ್ಲ ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮಲ್ಲೂ ಈ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ರೇಟ್ ಒಂದೇ ಥರ ಇರಲ್ಲ. ಇನ್ ದಟ್ ವೇ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಟು ಕಂಪೇರ್ ದ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ. ಒಂದು ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಗೂ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಗೂ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿಯನ್ನು ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಇನ್ ದಟ್ ಸಿನಾರಿಯೋ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಸೆವೆರಲ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್, ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಗ್ರಾಸ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ GRASS ಅಲ್ಲ, GROSS, ಗ್ರಾಸ್, ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ, ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ. ಇದನ್ನೇ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಅಬ್ರಿವೇಟೆಡ್ ಆಸ್ GPP, ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ, nothing but GPP. You know that it is a rate at which particular amount of organic matter is produced per what area? Unit area over a given period of time, particular period of time. By what? By plants. During what? During photosynthesis. Photosynthesis process ಇಂದ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಟ್ಗಳು ಒಂದು ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು. ದಟ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟ್. ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಹೈಯರ್. When the plants are undergoing photosynthesis, the plants will also be undergoing another process which we call it as respiration. You know that during photosynthesis, the inorganic compounds are utilized to produce organic compound like starch. During respiration, that starch will be broken in plants to produce energy, ATP, for the requirement of that particular plant. So thereby, when the plant respire, whatever the organic matter that is produced by them by photosynthesis, considerable part of the organic matter will be utilized by plants for respiration. ಒಂದು ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಟು ಫೋಟೋಸಿಂಥಸಿಸ್ ಇಂದ ಎಷ್ಟು ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೋ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಪಾರ್ಟನ್ನು ತನ್ನ ರೆಸ್ಪಿರೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ಅದು ಖರ್ಚಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಟು ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರನ್ನು ರೆಸ್ಪಿರೇಷನ್ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಖರ್ಚು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಈಗ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? GPP ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಹೈಯರ್. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? ರೆಸ್ಪಿರೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಯಿತು, ಕಳೆದೋಯ್ತು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಕಳೆದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಉಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ NPP ಅಂತೀವಿ, ನೆಟ್ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ NPP? ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ನೆಟ್ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ. ಈ ನೆಟ್ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಬಂತು? ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ಸತಿ, ಈ ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಈಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮಿನ ಒಂದು ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬಹುದಾದಂತಹ ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಟ್ಗಳು ಒಂದು ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಮಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದೇ ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ. ಅದನ್ನು ಯಾವ ಥರ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ? ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ produced per unit area over a period of time by plants during photosynthesis. Is it will be higher or lower than respiration? In scenario, the plant cannot survive. If they spend lots of energy, then they have, especially the organic matter, then they have got, then the plants cannot survive. So thereby, whatever they prepare by photosynthesis, major part of it will be utilized by plants for respiration. So that is why we have deducted respiration losses. This is nothing but respiration losses. Respiration losses of what? Organic matter. Okay, what remains now? Net primary productivity. How to define this? The net primary productivity is the amount of organic matter left over in plants after the deduction of respiratory losses from gross primary productivity. Or otherwise, we can also define this in this way. It is the amount of organic matter left over in plants which can be utilized by consumers or which can be utilized by heterotrophs. You can say that amount of organic matter that is available to heterotrophs. ಯಾವುದನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ? ವಿ ಸೇ herbivores. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕನ್ಸ್ಯೂಮರ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನಲ್ಲ, herbivores, the one that are dependent on plants, and decomposers. So these are the ones, whatever the productivity in plants available for this, we can be referred as net primary productivity. Okay. Then there is one more term we can use. Secondary productivity. Okay, whatever the animals that is heterotrophs are getting will be what? That is NPP, net primary productivity. See, we have secondary productivity. Secondary productivity. When I say about secondary productivity, it is the amount of organic matter produced by consumers. See, they will be consuming the starch. The starch in turn will be converted into the glycogen. You can say animals will have, that is why the glycogen can also be called as animal starch. It will not. And thereby using this, these animals are able to synthesize the organic matter. They synthesize the organic matter. So that is called as secondary productivity. The organic matter produced by consumers using the net primary productivity or organic matter of the plants, then it is called as secondary productivity. I think I made it clear. Grass primary productivity is the amount of the organic matter produced by green plants during photosynthesis per a unit area over a given period of time. As you all know that green plants, even though they prepare the food, they also utilize the food for the purpose of respiration. If you can detect how much of organic matter from the organic matter they are produced, from that you can deduct whatever they are used for respiration. The remaining one will be the net primary productivity. The net primary productivity or NPP is the one that is available for the heterotrophs like herbivores and decomposers. The herbivores in turn will, using that, synthesize their own organic matter, that is called as secondary productivity. And coming on to the primary productivity of an ecosystem. Primary productivity of an ecosystem depends on what type of plant species occupy their area, occupy that particular area. A particular ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಂತಹ plant species ಇದೆ, and also what are the nutrients that are available in that. ಆ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಿಯೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅವೈಲಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಇದೆ, and also particular again we have that the photosynthetic capacity of the plants. ಆ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಸ್ಪೀಸೀಸ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಫೋಟೋಸಿಂಥೆಟಿಕ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ productivity of an ecosystem will be decided by type of plant species, that particular area, nutrients that are available there, and also the photosynthetic capacity. All these will decide the rate expression. And then coming on to, so thereby So productivity will be different in different ecosystem. Okay. So they have estimated that annual net primary productivity of entire biosphere. ಈ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. Biosphere is that part of earth that supports life. It includes atmosphere, hydrosphere and lithosphere. The annual net primary productivity of the entire biosphere approximately estimated to be 170 billion tons. 170 billion tons. Approximate estimation of entire annual. ಒಂದು ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು 10 lakhs is equal to 1 million. 1000 million is equal to 1 billion is equal to 1 billion. That's what exactly. So annual net primary productivity of entire biosphere is estimated to be 170 billion ton. You know that the water, that is ocean, will be occupy 70% of the earth's surface. Ocean will occupy 70% of the earth's surface, and its contribution for this is 55 billion tons. ಅದರ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ 55 billion tons, 55 billion tons. Whereas the land, terrestrial, that occupies the 30% of the earth's surface, and its contribution is 115 billion tons. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ 170 billion tons ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಓಷನ್, ಭೂಮಿಯ ಮೇಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಸಾಗರ ನೀರು 70% ಇದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಅದರಿಂದ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನೆಟ್ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಇಸ್ ಲೆಸ್. ಸರ್, ವೈ ಸೋ? ಇನ್ ಓಷನ್, when compared to land, nutrients and minerals are lower, ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಏನು? ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಿಯೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮಿನರಲ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಎಲ್ಲಿ? ಓಷನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ. ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ? ಲ್ಯಾಂಡಿಗೆ. ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಎಷ್ಟು? 30%. ಅದರ ನೆಟ್ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಎಷ್ಟು? 115 ಬಿಲಿಯನ್ ಟನ್ಸ್. ಸಾಗರ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ? ಓಷನ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ? 30%, 70% ಇದೆ. ಅದರ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಎಷ್ಟು? 55 ಬಿಲಿಯನ್ ಟನ್ಸ್. ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಯಾಕೆ? ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಿಯೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮಿನರಲ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಹೈಯರ್ ಇಯರ್. ಟೆರೆಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲಲ್ಲಿ ಹೈಯರ್, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಇದೆ. ಸಮುದ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಡಿಮೆ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಏನಂಗಂದ್ರೆ ದಿ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ produced per unit area over a period of time by plants during photosynthesis. Okay, during photosynthesis. ಇದು ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ್ದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? ಒಂದು, ಎಂತಹ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಸ್ಪೀಸೀಸ್ ಇದೆ, ವಾಟ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಸ್ಪೀಸೀಸ್, and what are the nutrients available there. And then the photosynthetic capacity of those plants, and also availability of sunlight. That's major thing. All these will decide the rate of ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ, ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗುವ ರೇಟನ್ನು ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಒಂದು ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ವರ್ಲ್ಡಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ನೆಟ್ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಬಯೋಸ್ಪಿಯರಲ್ಲಿ 170 ಬಿಲಿಯನ್ ಟನ್ಸ್. ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ? 115 ಬಿಲಿಯನ್ ಟನ್ಸ್. ವಾಟರ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಓಷನ್ 55 ಬಿಲಿಯನ್ ಟನ್. ಸರ್ ಹಂಗಿದ್ರೆ ಓಷನ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ? ಹೌದು, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ, 70% ಇದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಯಿತು? ಸರ್ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಓಷನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡಿಗೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ದ ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಿಯೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮಿನರಲ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಲೋಯರ್. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ರೀಸನ್ ವೈ ದರ್ ಈಸ್ lower net productivity in ocean than the land. So istu information, this information is regarding productivity. Now let us move over to next concept, decomposition. Now what exactly we discuss? We discuss regarding decomposition. Under this, the earthworm. You know that scientific name is called Peritima postuma. It belongs to phylum called Annelida, and it is referred as farmer's friend. ಇದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಏನಂತ ರೆಫರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ? ಫಾರ್ಮರ್ಸ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್. ಅದನ್ನೇ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿ ಅಂದರೆ ರೈತನ ಮಿತ್ರ ಅಂತ. Why it is called so? Why one should call the earthworm as farmer friend? Number one, it helps in breaking organic matter. ಸಾಯಿಲಲ್ಲಿ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರನ್ನು ಆಯಿತಾ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಡೌನ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಟ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಬ್ರೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಡೌನ್ ದ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್, dead organic matter in the soil. The second one, it also helps in loosening of soil particles. Soil particles ಅನ್ನು loosen ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. These are the two very important function of earthworm. See, normally we plow the land ಅನ್ನು ಉಳ್ತೀವಿ. Why we will plow the land? To loosen it. What is the help, especially when you loosen the soil? What exactly happens? What's the benefit? When you loosen the soil, water holding capacity or water percolating capacity increases, and also soil aeration will increases. Okay, and also it will help in the activity of the soil microbes. That's what exactly. So earthworm will help in breaking down the organic matter that is present in soil as well as loosening the soil particles. And then we have decomposers. The decomposers are called like bacteria and fungi. They are the ones which we call them as decomposers. What they are able to do? They are able to convert the complex organic matter. They are able to convert the complex organic matter which is present in dead bodies into simple inorganic substances. Okay, ಯಾವುದು ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ? Decomposers. ಯಾವ್ಯಾವುದನ್ನು ಡಿಕಂಪೋಸರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತೀವಿ? ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾ, ಫಂಗೈ. ಅವು ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ? ಡೆಡ್ ಬಾಡಿಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಇನ್ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಇನ್ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಯಾವುದು? ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಡೈಆಕ್ಸೈಡ್, ವಾಟರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಿಯೆಂಟ್ಸ್. ಇದು ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? ಸಾಯಿಲ್ಗೆ. ಇದು ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಆಗೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಇಟ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ಸ್ ರಿಚ್. ಓಕೆ, ಈ ಥರ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರು ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಇನ್ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಈ ಪ್ರೋಸೆಸ್ನ ಏನಂತೀವಿ? ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಡಿಕಂಪೋಸಿಷನ್. How to define decomposition? It is the conversion of complex organic matter of the dead body into simple inorganic substance like carbon dioxide, water and nutrients by decomposers is called as decomposition. Okay, what are these? Simple inorganic substances. From where they come from? They came from complex organic matter. Where this complex organic matter was present? That was present in dead bodies. And how this was converted? Converted by these. What are these? Decomposers. Okay. I think you got this point clear. Next thing. Next thing. Dead plant remains. Dead plant remains. ಸತ್ತ ಸಸ್ಯದ ದೇಹದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಇರ್ತದೆ? ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಎ ಲೀವ್ಸ್, ಬಾರ್ಕ್, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಾರ್ಕ್ ಅಂದರೆ ತೊಗಟೆ ಅಂತೀವಿ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫ್ಲವರ್ಸ್, ಬಿದ್ದೋದಂಥ ಹೂವುಗಳು, ಬಿದ್ದೋದಂಥ ತೊಗಟೆ, ಬಿದ್ದೋದಂಥ ಎಲೆ, ಇವನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಏನಂತೀವಿ? ಡೆಡ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ರಿಮೈನ್ಸ್. ಡೆಡ್ ಅನಿಮಲ್ ರಿಮೈನ್ಸ್. ಡೆಡ್ ಅನಿಮಲ್ ರಿಮೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ದ ಡೆಡ್ ಬಾಡಿ. And also we have that fecal matter. Sir, fecal matter andre eno? Whatever an animal throws out after digestion and absorption. Digestion ಆಗಿ absorption ಆಗಿ ಉಳಿದದನ್ನು ಏನು ಹೊರ ಹಾಕುತ್ತೆ ಬಾಡಿಯಿಂದ, ಅದೇ ಫೀಕಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್. ಸರ್, ಹಸುವಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಫೀಕಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ ಯಾವುದು? ಸಗಣಿ. ಸಿಂಪಲ್. ಸಗಣಿನೂ ಕೂಡ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಡೆಡ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ರಿಮೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಲೀವ್ಸ್, ಬಾರ್ಕ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಫ್ಲವರ್ಸ್. ಡೆಡ್ ಅನಿಮಲ್ ರಿಮೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಡೆಡ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಫೀಕಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್. ಆಲ್ ದಿಸ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ detritus. ಈ ಡೆಡ್ ರಿಮೈನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೇರಿಸಿ ನಾವೇನಂತೀವಿ? detritus ಅಂತೀವಿ. What is this detritus? It is nothing but the dead plant remains like leaves, bark, flowers, etc. And dead animals remains, that is dead body and fecal matter. And this detritus is the raw material for, it is the raw material for the process of decomposition process ಗೆ ಇದು ರಾ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್, ಕಚ್ಚಾ ಸಾಮಗ್ರಿ. ಡಿಕಂಪೋಸಿಷನ್ ಪ್ರೋಸೆಸ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಡೆಟ್ರಿಟಸ್ ಬೇಕು. ಸರ್, ಡೆಟ್ರಿಟಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಸರ್? ಅಂದರೆ ಡೆಡ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ರಿಮೈನ್ಸು ಅಥವಾ ಡೆಡ್ ಅನಿಮಲ್ ರಿಮೈನ್ಸ್. ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸೇ ಡೆಡ್ ಬಾಡೀಸ್. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ. And then we will be moving over to The important, I think you got this point here. Now, we are discussing regarding the process of decomposition. Under that I did tell you, the earthworms are referred as farmer's friend because they are able to break down the organic matter, plus they are helpful in loosening the soil. Since they are doing this function, they are referred as friends of farmer because both the processes are helpful in agriculture. And then I did tell you, the decomposers like bacteria and fungi are able to convert the complex organic matter into simple inorganic substances like carbon dioxide, water and nutrients, and that process is called as decomposition. Then I did tell you, the dead plant remains like leaves, bark, flowers, etc. The dead animal remains like the dead body itself plus fecal matter. All this together will constitute the detritus. This detritus is the raw material for the process of decomposition. And now we will go for the process. Until now we have not discussed about the process. Now, so important steps of decompositions are important steps. Number 1, fragmentation. Fragmentation, first step. Second step, leaching, Leaching, leaching. Third one, catabolism, catabolism. The fourth one, humification, humification. The fifth one, mineralization, mineralization. Fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, humification and mineralization. So these are the 5 steps of decomposition. So whenever we say 5 steps ಇದೆ ಅಂದರೆ suddenly to your mind, this is a major question, 5 marks question, that it has to come to your mind. You have to decide like that, how many points it is, how much marks it can get. Okay, coming on to fragmentation. First one, breaking detritus, into smaller particles, by detrivores. Example for the detrivore is, one such example is earthworm. Earthworm. What is fragmentation? Breaking detritus into smaller particles by detrivores like earthworm is called as fragmentation. Detritus ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, dead remains of plants and dead remains of animals, ಅಲ್ಲಿ particles ದೊಡ್ಡ ಸೈಜ್ ಇರ್ತಾವೆ. ಆ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಸಣ್ಣ ಸಣ್ಣ ಸೈಜ್ ಆಗಿ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಡೌನ್ ಮಾಡೋದೇ ಫ್ರಾಗ್ಮೆಂಟೇಷನ್. ದ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಒನ್, ವಾಟರ್ ಸಾಲ್ಯುಬಲ್ inorganic nutrients, water soluble inorganic nutrients go deep into soil origin into soil origin as unavailable salts. Leaching ಅನ್ನೋ ಪ್ರೋಸೆಸ್. ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ಸು fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, humification, mineralization, they come under what? Decomposition. So first step ಏನು? Fragmentation. Detritus is broken down into smaller particle by detrivores like earthworm. Second part, water soluble inorganic nutrients go deep into soil origin and they become as unavailable salts. ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್. ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ವಾಟ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ರೈನ್ ವಾಟ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ವಾಟ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ದೇ ಸಾಲ್ಯುಬಲೈಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೇ ಪರ್ಕೋಲೇಟ್. ಇಂಗುತ್ತೆ, ನೀರು ಇಂಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಂಗುವಾಗ along with the water the inorganic nutrients also will go down, but those will not be available to the plants, that plants right there at the top. So such one is called as leaching. Then the enzymes of decomposers, the enzymes of bacteria and fungi degrade the organic matter, or degrade the detritus into simple inorganic substances. I repeat, detritus into simple inorganic substances, and that process is called as catabolism. Catabolism andre the enzymes of bacteria and fungi. You know that together bacteria and fungi we call them as decomposers. The enzymes of these two, bacteria and fungi, degrade the detritus, that is organic matter present in the detritus, into simple inorganic substances. And this process is called as catabolism. All these processes, three processes, fragmentation, leaching and catabolism, will be occurring simultaneously. During decomposition, all the three processes like fragmentation, leaching and catabolism. Catabolism ಅಂದ್ರೇನು? ಸರ್, ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾ ಮತ್ತು ಫಂಗೈಯನ್ನು ನಾವು ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ದಮ್ ಆಸ್ ಡಿಕಂಪೋಸರ್ಸ್. ಅವುಗಳು ಎಂಸೈಮ್ಸನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಎಂಸೈಮ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ? ಡೆಟ್ರಿಟಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಇರ್ತವೆ. ಅವುಗಳನ್ನು ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಇನಾರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಏನಂತೀವಿ? ಕೆಟಬಾಲಿಸಮ್. ಸರ್, ಲೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಸರ್, ನೀರಲ್ಲಿ, ಮಣ್ಣಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನೀರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವು ಇನಾರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಿಯೆಂಟ್ಸು ಕರಗುತ್ತೆ. ಕರಗದಂಥ ಇವು ಅಥವಾ ಮಣ್ಣಿನ ಕಣಗಳ ನಡುವೆ ಇಂಗು ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ದೇ ಗೋ ಡೀಪ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ದಿ ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ಆರಿಜಿನ್ and they become unavailable salt. That is called as leaching. So what is this fragmentation? Breaking the detritus into smaller particles by detrivores like earthworm is called fragmentation. All these three processes will be occurring simultaneously. ಒಮ್ಮೆಗೆ ನಡೀತಾ ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಜೊತೆಲೇ ನಡೀತಾ ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಒಂದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದಾಗಲ್ಲ. They occur simultaneously. And then these two processes, humification and mineralization, will occur in soil. Coming on to humification. Coming on to this particular process, humification. Humification especially leads to accumulation of dark colored, amorphous structure or substance, you can say, amorphous substance called as humus. Now ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ humus rich soil, and this humus is highly resistant to microbial activity. ಹಂಗಂದ್ರೆ ಮೈಕ್ರೋಬಿಯಲ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಹ್ಯೂಮಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತನ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ವೆರಿ ಲೆಸ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಲಾಯ್ಡಲ್ ಇನ್ ನೇಚರ್. ಯಾವುದು? ಹ್ಯೂಮಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಲಾಯ್ಡಲ್ ಇನ್ ನೇಚರ್. ಹ್ಯೂಮಸ್ ಬಂದೇನು? ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಲಾಯ್ಡಲ್ ಇನ್ ನೇಚರ್. And then especially this humus will serve as the reservoir of nutrients. ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಿಯೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ವೆರಿ ರಿಚ್. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಡಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರು ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ಗೆ ಯಾರು ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸರ್ಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿದ್ದಂಥ ಎಲೆ, ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಟ್ರೀಸಿಂದ ಬಿದ್ದಂಥ ಎಲೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಟರಾಗಿ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ದಿಸ್ ಹ್ಯೂಮಸ್. ಮತ್ತು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು, ಈ ಹ್ಯೂಮಸ್ಗೆ ವಾಟರ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ. ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಎ ಸ್ಪಾಂಜ್. ಬಹಳ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಕಾಡಲ್ಲಿ ಹ್ಯೂಮಸ್, ವಾಟರ್ನ ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಈವನ್ ದೋ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಟೊರೆನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ರೈನ್, ಭಾಳ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಳೆ ಆಗಿದ್ರು the rivers in especially forest area will never flood, because the water will be held by this humus and gradually it releases. Even the nutrients are also. The humification is nothing but accumulation of dark colored amorphous substance called by humus. This humus is highly resistant to microbial activity. Microscopic organism cannot break down them easily. Since it is colloidal in nature, it will serve as a reservoir for nutrients. The next thing, mineralization. Coming on to mineralization, I did tell you that they are resistant. Yaudu? Humus is resistant to microbial activity. But there are certain microbes which are able to degrade humus, the humus, and the minerals are released to the soil. That release of minerals by degrading the humus by microbial activity is called as mineralization. Due to mineralization, the humus will be very slowly degraded and minerals are released very slowly. See, when we discussing this point, very efficient use of minerals. We were talking about genetically modified crops, advantages of GMO. They are made efficient to mineral usage. What we are discussing, the same concept here. See, humus is very rich in especially nutrient, but it cannot be degraded. But very slowly some microbes are able to degrade it, to release the minerals. And these minerals will be utilized plants and they show luxuriant growth. Okay, these are the 5 steps of decomposition process. Okay, so this is very, very important. very important for annual examination as well as NEET. And then we are on to the decomposition is an oxygen requiring process. Decomposition is what? Oxygen requiring process. So that process will require oxygen. Decomposition process ಗೆ ಏನು ಬೇಕು? Oxygen requiring process. So it occurs in the presence of oxygen. And chemical composition of detritus has a role to play in the process of decomposition. So in a particular condition, if the detritus is rich in lignin and chitin, secondary wall materials, you know that the process will be decomposition process will be slower. When the process will be slower? When the detritus is very rich in lignin and chitin. In that particular condition, if the detritus is rich in nitrogen and water soluble sugar, then the process will be faster. Then the process of decomposition will be faster. So basing on the chemical composition of detritus, you have two conditions. One condition, particular condition, detritus is rich in the lignin and chitin, the process of decomposition is slower. Particular condition, if the detritus is rich in nitrogen and water soluble sugars, then it is faster. Process is faster. Likewise, the climatic condition, that is temperature and soil moisture will also play an important role. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಯಾವುದು? ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ಮಾಯಿಶ್ಚರ್. See, warm temperature and moist condition, ತೇವಾಂಶ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರೋದು, will favor the decomposition. Decomposition will be favored by this particular condition. ಈ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ನು ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ? ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಡಿಕಂಪೋಸಿಷನ್. ಲೈಕ್ವೈಸ್ low temperature and anaerobiosis, absence of oxygen. Naturally, this condition will not favor or the process becomes slower. Okay, temperature, because these two will act on soil microbes. Soil microbes will be affected by temperature and soil moisture. What did I tell you here? The rate of decomposition process, the process is basically oxygen requiring process. The chemical composition of the detritus can influence the rate of decomposition. Like, if the detritus is rich in lignin and chitin, the process of decomposition is slower. The same way, if it is rich in nitrogen and water soluble sugar, the process of decomposition is faster. Temperature and soil moisture will also have a role on rate of decomposition by influencing the soil microbes. If there is warm temperature, moist condition, ತೇವಾಂಶ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರೋದು, it will going to favor at the rate of decomposition become faster. low temperature, and anaerobiosis, absence of oxygen. In this condition, it will not favor the rate of, decomposition. Rate of decomposition will become slower. Okay. So this is, and this is also very important. You will be concentrating on the process. They may ask you the factors influencing the rate of decomposition. Okay, I will conclude. We will meet in next class. Thank you.